Man, here we are, episode 13, season 2. I know I skipped a week. I'm not going to apologize for that, though. Where my Killa tape at? We are here as if we never left the building. We're going to talk about that there are lanes of woke, and then like how a lot of us are really tripping when it comes to this woke stuff. I'm also going to talk about how men need partners, right? We don't need, like moms when we partner up with our significant others. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about how a lot of y'all mad disrespectful about our ancestors. And also mute R. Kelly and fuck WaffleHouse. Word. Check it out. Where my Killa tape at?
Yes. I like the rhymes.
All of us are born with the miraculous ability to determine the direction from which sounds approach us.
Let us venture into new and uncharted land.
People get shook up, when I'm introduced as God.
You got that good hair, too.
You're the first one out there with a dashiki talking that crap.
It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
I pull up, hop out, air out, made it look sexy. They won't take me out my element. Nah, take me out my element.
For this week's podcast, I'm sipping on Sangria, man. Just regular Sangria. Man, y'all know I love Spanish wine. It's actually citrus. It's not like grape. It's just citrus, usually made from oranges. Good stuff. It's way more sweeter than regular red wine. It's not even considered. Yeah, it's considered a red wine. But yeah, it's definitely delicious. I learned that in Spain, actually, this is like considered like cheap wine. Like Sangria is considered like cheap wine. Like everybody drinks it. Like it's like drinking Coca-Cola in the United States or Coke or whatever. And I learned that. I was really tripping on that. I'm thinking that it was like special. So like when people come over, they just give them Sangria instead of like, like water or juice or something. But that's really interesting, ain't it? Also earlier, actually not earlier, I'm going to say this happened when I was on Steph's show, the Dope Science Show. And I thought that new Black Panther, new series with Ta-Nehisi Coates and Daniel Kuna was coming out that time that we had that discussion. And I was like, wow, I was like, what? Oh my God, I was like February? No, it was March because it was right after my birthday. So I just wanted to let y'all know that it's actually coming up. And it's going to be issue number 1. It comes out May 23rd. So definitely cop that one. And that's really the reason I want to talk about it is because in that series, Wakanda actually finds another planet and it goes to another planet. They called it after their Panther god Bast. So definitely look out for that on May 23rd. It's going to come out. It's going to be real dope. I can't wait. I'm a big fan of Daniel Kuna's art. I remember when he was on Uncanny Avengers. He did some Avengers stuff as well. Yes, there was a series called Uncanny Avengers. It was created by Captain America. It's called Unity Squad, and it put mutants and humans alike. And they still have that series going on, but now they have like Inhumans in there. So definitely check that out. Word. In the previous episode, I talked about wokeness and how like there's levels to wokeness, but it's also lanes to wokeness. I know I'm getting a little bit more complicated. And I think that a lot of times we feel like, here's an example. Okay, so like you could be a historian, right? But you might not be a scientist, like let's say a physicist, right? So you might know some things that a physicist doesn't know. And that physicist is going to know some things that you don't know, and you're a historian. So just because you don't know some of those things that might be important in physics doesn't make you like less woke. You're just not woke in that lane, right? Doesn't mean you can't learn that stuff, but it doesn't mean that you're stupid either. And then we got to be careful because a lot of times when we say woke, we're really trying to be condescending towards other people, right? But there's lanes to it. There's levels and there's lanes to it, right? And I think we also have to keep in mind that everybody's not going to know everybody's lane, right? So just because, again, I'm a historian, you can't expect me to know what a physicist will say on it. So I always tell my students, like, stay in your lane. There's certain things they ask me and I'll be like, I don't know what that is, but I can tell you who knows. And that's how we should be, right? If somebody asks us a question, we should, and we don't know it, we should, be honest and say, hey, I don't know it, but I bet you I know who does. And that's what we should be at, right? You should have in your circle different people that work in different lanes. It just makes sense, right? And then again, I think that's a great idea because it helps big each other up. So if I know somebody who's a physicist, right, or somebody who's involved into environmental racism, that's my opportunity to put that person in front and let them speak. And that's how it should work. That's how everything interconnects, right? That's how it should work. But I think one problem is that we don't like to be told that we're wrong, right? And a lot of us like to believe that we know everything, and we don't know everything, right? Because to me, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, part of being woke is knowing that you don't know everything, that there's other things you don't know about. Because remember, before we were woke, we didn't know about certain things. So, and that goes to say the same thing when we woke. There's certain things we don't know because we're just not there yet, or we haven't encountered that. So remember that there's not only just levels, but there's also lanes. Word is born.
It's all a game. It's all a game.
I'm gonna say two more things about woke, and then I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna try not to bring it up because some of y'all be wilding on this for real. First of all, shout out to my man Manny Infinity. He used to always tell me this. He used to always say that conscious just means you aware, right? So I guess we use woke in the same context, right? It just means you aware. It don't mean that you're gonna do something about it. It don't mean you're gonna act on that information. You just know what's up, right? You just know what's going on. So that really don't make you no different than anybody else. I had a coworker tell me like, oh, yo, this video was made for people that are conscious and awake. And I'm like, well, what's the video about? So he explained the video to me, and I'm like, yo, people who you consider ignorant and stupid or whatever, however word you want to use, however you want to dice it, they know shit is fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, they know, just like somebody who claims to be woke and conscious, they know shit is fucked up. They might not be able to name it. They might not be able to explain it in academic terms, but they know that things are messed up. So they don't need nobody else to tell them that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times they ain't even trying to hear it, because they live it, right? So it's kind of like the same idea. So just because you woke or you aware, it really don't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times you don't do anything. So what's the reason? Second thing I want to talk about is how a lot of us really are just in the theater of being woke. We just want to act like we know something that somebody else don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, we in that kind of situation where we just wanted to show people that we know what's going on, that we woke, that we understand what the science is to this and the math to that, or we know what this is or what this word means or how to use the word in the proper context. Like, a lot of us really in the act. A lot of us really don't give a fuck. A lot of us don't really care. We front like we care, but we really, really don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, we woke until a certain point. And that's something that we need to talk about, the theater of woke. Like, a lot of us are in that theater of wokeness, and we really don't give a fuck. Or we just front like we know something. And because, being woke now is the end thing, right? I even hear white cats be like, yo, stay woke. You know what I'm saying? Like, and y'all got to stop with that for real. So I'm going to leave that alone from right there. Let y'all bite on that. Also, there's been this discussion online, and I know that it's something actually that kind of discussions I've been having offline, actually. We talk about how, men in relationships don't really do the emotional labor. And I think I spend oogads amount of time talking about that. I mean, oogads. I mean, I've written about it. It's on Medium. I think I posted the link before, but I'll do it again in the show notes so you can see. But recently, there was one individual who, has been having some idiotic rants lately, and we've been talking about it. I'm not going to talk about it here because I think other people gave it enough shine. I think other people talked about it better than I could, and they were able to articulate what, the problems this person was out here spouting, or how problematic he is. That's what I'm looking for. Ooh, is that Sangria? But anyway, I think it's important that we talk about that because somebody online said, He just needs a hug from a black woman. And a lot of people went off, which rightly so. Again, women are not your mules, right? Women are not where supposed to carry us all over. You know, they're human beings too, right? So we always want them to do the work, but we never want to help. We never want to do the work ourselves. And I think that's completely unfair and sexist. So I want to talk about that for a little bit. You know, I think I often hear people talk about when they talk about love, particularly men, right? They always talk about how their significant others or their partners saved them or pulled them out of some sort of darkness. And I'm not saying that your significant other and your partner is not supposed to help you. I never said that. I just feel like I hear a lot of people say, men in particular say, you know, this woman saved me, this woman. And I don't think that's what relationships are supposed to be for. I really don't think so. I really don't think that. Don't get me wrong. The person that you end up being with, whether you get married or not, because that really doesn't matter. That person should uplift you. That person should encourage you. That person should help you out. They should be, you know, your coach and everything, right? They should be in your corner, just like your moms, just like your brother, just like your dad, just like your uncle, just like your family, right? They're supposed to be, you know, your best friend, you know, your frat, your soror, whatever. They should be in your corner. All of them should be in your corner. But at the same time, you don't expect none of them to carry all that weight that you put onto your significant other. And I think that when you come into relationships, you should look at that person as a partner, not as someone who takes up several roles. Like, I hear a lot of men say, oh, she's my sister, my best friend, my confidant, you know, my caretaker. And it's kind of like, nah, bro, that's too much, you know? And I kind of feel like I already have a best friend. Well, I actually have 3 best friends. I already have 3 best friends. So I'm not looking for a best friend. I already got a best friend. I'm not looking for like a sister. I already have a sister. You know what I'm saying? Like, my moms look out for me. Like, and plus I'm an adult. I don't need nobody to take care of me like that. So I think that we got to be careful, men, when we talk about what we seek for in a partner, because it just makes sense, and it's just too much to put on somebody, I think. But at the same time, you know, women are not our mules, right? We don't put all our burdens onto them. If we're supposed to be adults, we're supposed to be men, then we should be carrying our burdens and we should be handling our business. And I think that's something that we should kind of like deal with, and again, be willing to do the emotional labor. Again, I talked extensively about it. I'll probably spend an entire episode doing that sometime in the future, but that's how I feel. And I think that we should be careful with how we word what we want in our partners and stuff like that. Word. Also, big up to the homie Sekou, aka Grandpa Crunk, aka DJ. What was it? It's I don't know, man. I forgot, man. But anyway, shout out to my man Sekou. He had me on the show with his cousin. Word is born. I'll put the show links in there. So we talked everything about Bill Cosby. We even talked about Kanye, who I'm really trying to avoid talking to. So check it out, man. I'll put the show links in there, yo. Big up to anybody. If you want me to be on your show, hit me up on Twitters at Dantres, homie, DANTRESOMI. I talk a lot of shit, so be careful. And a lot of times I'm drinking when I'm getting interviewed. So just giving you the heads up on that one. I got to get this one off my chest. So what I actually recommend is that you tell the kids to get out the room, because I'm about to get real wild. And let me say this, man. Like, I remember Dr. Ben. Yes, that Dr. Ben. I remember one time I was building with him, and he said to me, he said, yo, your generation, I'm 45. He's like, your generation is mad disrespectful to our ancestors. He said that, yo. And I thought he was bugging. And because I know in my circle, like, we always, you know, remember the ancestors, we pour libations, we did what we did. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. Some of us were wayward. Some of us didn't know what the fuck we was doing, right? But as I got older, I realized that that is actually true. And I'm not just talking about the young generation. I'm talking about my generation as well, that we just wild disrespectful to our ancestors, man. I mean, like, this, you know, and there was one individual in particular who said a few things that everybody's been talking about. And I'm not going to mention his name because I don't think his name needs to be mentioned. But there's always going to be people who are going to say wild shit. Always. It's always going to be people that say wild shit. The ill part is that there's people that actually believe it, and there's people that actually like promote it and talk about it and be like, yo, he got a point. And I ran into too many of y'all motherfuckers that have been saying that stupid ass motherfucker is right and he's not right, or that he has a fucking point. Y'all mad disrespectful to our ancestors, and I'm gonna explain to you why. Number one, there is still slaves today, right? They are still people that are being enslaved against their will, and they snatched them from their homes, men, women, and children. Some of them in the United States of America, and that is word is born. And you may not think it's true because you ain't paying attention, but it's happening. That being said, number two, none of us were actually slaves. We're descendants of them, right? But none of us were actually slaves, right? So we don't know how it feels to be that way. We don't know anything about that. So for us to be sitting here in 2018 talking about, if I was around back then, I would have done X, Y, Z, you wouldn't have done shit. You know what I'm saying? Because here's what y'all don't understand. For a lot of people, right? And to this day, there are a lot of people, and I'm gonna talk about that too. For a lot of people, survival is crucial. Making sure that they babies are okay and their significant others are okay is important. It's very, very important, right? So a lot of us think it's easy for us to be like, well, I just pick up a gun or a machete and I'm gonna just go after the slave master. Nah, it wasn't that easy. That being said, there were a lot of our ancestors who did other things. There's other ways of resistance, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be with a gun or a knife. There's other ways that you could resist, and our ancestors were known for that shit, right? Our ancestors had babies. That's an act of resistance, yo. Like having a baby in that situation, you know what I'm saying? That's an act of resistance because they did everything in their power. White people did everything in their power to kill our ancestors, and guess what? Our ancestors survived. Matter of fact, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our ancestors enduring that bullshit. You feel me? So for you to sit here and be like they were crazy whack or some shit like that, or they didn't know what they was doing, or they was scared or whatever, you know, that's crazy, man. That's fucking, y'all bugging on that shit, man. For real, for real. Like, are you sitting here telling me that bullshit to my face? Yo, you crazy, man. Then you got cats out here who are like, well, my ancestor was the one that jumped in the water, you know, and drowned themselves. Now, true indeed, that's very brave, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel you on that. But let me say something to you. If your ancestor jumped into the water and drowned himself, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here talking that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you forget that if you was to come up and not have any kids and die, your lineage dies right there. That's it. That's it. Your DNA will not propagate, B. You don't understand that? If you don't have any kids, your DNA doesn't propagate. So you don't have any descendants. Your descendants don't have an ancestor. This shit is simple mathematics, man. Y'all be just running out your fucking mouth, man. It's crazy that y'all be doing this stuff, man. And look, just because our ancestors didn't jump in the water and drown themselves doesn't mean that they were any less brave. Like, y'all really bugging on that. Like, you know, and not to say that those that jumped in the water weren't brave. They were very brave, man. Yo, take your own life. I think it takes a lot of courage to do that. But to say that those that didn't choose to do that, for whatever reason, are not brave, they're not courageous, you know what I'm saying? Y'all be running y'all fucking mouths. And then check this out. All those cats that be out here saying that if I was around back then, I would have overthrown my slave master, I would have ran with Nat Turner. I don't see none of y'all motherfuckers out here in the streets starting a revolution. I don't see none of y'all motherfuckers out here protesting. I don't see none of y'all motherfuckers out here fighting for the lives of our community. None of y'all. Ain't none of y'all motherfuckers doing that shit. So you're going to sit here in other people's faces and denigrate our ancestors on some bullshit, on some bravado bullshit that you know you ain't right. You know that if the revolution comes, you be out here snitching. So y'all need to chill with that shit, for real, for real. Stop disrespecting our ancestors, man. Word is born. But yo, mute R. Kelly. Hashtag mute R. Kelly. Word is born. Like, you know, it's about time that cats came for him. And you know, it's funny how, like, I run into a lot of people that, and this is how you can tell that things are changing. There are people that are like, you know, I played this joint, I was playing it, and then I turned it off. Or like my man was saying, he was DJing, he was about to play Step in the Name of Love, and then he switched up and he played something else. But I see a lot of people doing that, you know, and I think that's dope because it really shows that we're changing the discussion, especially when it comes to rape, and you know, particularly with black girls, right, with black women. Because R. Kelly has been like someone who's been consistent in raping and taking advantage of black girls. But when I think about R. Kelly, like one thing, and this is why I say this has changed, because I remember when he urinated on that one girl. I don't remember, but I remember the case. Shout out to the Boondocks, the first season, they had the R. Kelly case. That was actually probably one of my favorite episodes of Boondocks. You should definitely check that out if you haven't seen it, for those you youngins out there. But I remember when they did that episode, they showed how a lot of people supported him. And don't get me wrong, there's people out there that still support him, the people that cape for him or whatever. And it makes you wonder, you on his legal team, right? People that be defending him. But I remember when that happened on the streets, that DVD was selling out. Like, I've never seen it, but I know a lot of people who purchased that DVD, or because this is before YouTube, right? This is before YouTube, and you know, before everybody had the technology to upload videos onto the internet. Because back then, you know, everybody didn't have that. You had to have like special equipment to upload stuff on the internet. You had to change it from like analog to digital. But I think it's interesting that I remember everybody was buying it, and I remember going into barbershops and cats were like, "Oh, yo, I got that R. Kelly DVD where he peed on that little girl," you know, and people were like watching it. Like, people were like, "Oh, I want to see." And I thought that was disgusting. I thought that was really disgusting. And then now you hear people saying like, "Yo, you know, he's guilty, he's doing this and all that." And I think it's cool to see that change, even though it took forever. And don't get me wrong, we got a lot more work to do, and there's still people that defend R. Kelly. So Mute R. Kelly is actually an organization, and what they do is they have chapters all over the country, and what they're doing is they're going around to when he's going to perform at a venue, and they shut it down, you know, and they get people to do it. Matter of fact, I honestly believe that, because just recently Spotify says they're not going to play R. Kelly songs anymore. I know what they were doing is, Mute R. Kelly organization, they were actually getting people to, you know, change the algorithm on their Spotify by when an R. Kelly song comes on to go ahead and give it a thumbs down. So I thought that was really dope, and see how that works and everything. So yeah, Mute R. Kelly, man, put that hashtag, word. I got a confession, man, because there's like this myth going on that Waffle House is a good place to eat. Like, we're not talking about the police brutality yet. We're gonna get to that in a second. But there's this myth going on, and I know that people are always like, "Oh, Waffle House is the place to go." Yo, that shit is nasty, P. That shit is nasty. And I've tried, y'all, because I know sometimes, like, you know, chain restaurants, if you go to certain locations, it's nasty. You go to another location is really good, or you go to one location, the food is nasty and the service is horrible, or you go to another location, the service is great and you know, the food is good. But and it's, you know, I guess it depends on the quality of, you know, like it really does. Like, you know, it really, really does. Depending on where you go to, what community, what neighborhood, a particular chain restaurant is better. Let's be fucking real. Let's keep it fucking real, right? Anyway, I've been to several Waffle Houses across the country. Just to see, maybe I was tripping. Maybe I went to the wrong Waffle House. I mean, I've been to Waffle Houses in Virginia. I've been to Waffle House in Jersey. I've been to Waffle House in Pennsylvania. I've been to Waffle House I've been to one in Florida. I did go. That was probably the worst experience that I've had with Waffle Houses. That was years ago. I've been to several Waffle Houses, B. I'm trying to tell you, man. In nice affluent neighborhoods, in shitty neighborhoods, in strip malls. And all of them are horrible. All of them are bad. Everything, the food service, all of them are horrible. They're all bad, all of them. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with y'all, man. So, like, y'all online talking about Waffle House. I can see why, because usually, you know, if you don't live in a big major city like New York or Chicago, where you have, like, different restaurants open all hours of the night, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have a variety. You can eat, like, good quality food at low prices at 3 or 4 in the morning. I can understand that you live in a place where, you know, some places, you know, the last call for alcohol is at midnight. I've been in those places, right? So you leave the club at 2 o'clock. There's only 2 places you can go, Waffle House and IHOP. And in most places, Waffle House is where to go because it's real cheap. You can get a meal for like $8. I get it. But it's still nasty. I don't know what y'all talking about. It is nasty. And let me just say this. I can't remember the sister's name, but that one young woman who was literally... I couldn't watch the whole video because when I saw the video pull up, like, you know, and I didn't look for it. You know how people just throw stuff on your timeline. But the police officer was groping her. He was groping her. And I was like, yo, I can't watch this, yo. So I would think that after that incident, we wouldn't really fuck with Waffle House, right? Which you start to see how motherfuckers really are, because, you know, when it comes to black liberation, it's only for black men. If it's, lo and behold, if it's a woman, we're not going to say shit. If it's a black woman, we're not going to say a thing. If it's a gay black man, we definitely not going to say shit. So when people say black liberation, man, they're very limited in that scope, right? Anyway, so we see that she gets assaulted, she gets dragged for nothing, because all she did was she just cussed one of the staff out, which, by the way, is not against the law. Just to let you know, you can cuss anybody the hell out. It's not against the law. And, you know, don't get me wrong. If I go somewhere and I cuss staff out, they do have the right to kick me out. And I'm not saying they should have kicked her out. What I'm saying is that that's not a means for you to get arrested. Like that, you could cuss people out and not get arrested. I don't know if y'all knew that shit before. You can't. It's when you put hands on somebody, that's when you get arrested for that. But anyway, she didn't do anything. You would think that after that incident, we wouldn't mess around with Waffle House. Like, we wouldn't fuck with it. Let me get this. I got to stop fucking with Waffle House a long time ago. But if I was to go out with my friends because of that incident at the Waffle House, I'm definitely not going back to Waffle House. Like, I don't even know, like that. It's not going down like that. That is not going down like that. And I think that, you know, for us to even think about it and still be going to these places is, I'm not victim blaming. I'm not doing that at all. But it's kind of like the Walmart situation. I stopped going to Walmart because of the situation with homie in Beaver Creek, Ohio. Like, it's not going down. Anyway, my bad. Her name is Chiquisha Clemens. I hope I'm saying that right. Chiquisha Clemens. Say her name. Definitely put that hashtag in there. And she, you know, they literally sexually assaulted her, and then they arrested her, which should be the other way around. Like, if they sexually assaulted her, they should be going to jail. But we just had a young man, and you could tell he was probably going to prom because it is prom season, and he was at the Waffle House, and he was choked out by a police officer. And, you know, now of course everybody's like, oh, he's gay, so people are like, we're not gonna go out there and protest. Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all, man? Like, for real, man. It's police brutality, B. You know what I'm saying? Like, police brutality is police brutality. But again, for some reason, if it's not a black man, a cis hetero black man, we don't want to protest. And that shit is fucked up, man. We really got to sit down and talk about it. But anyway, fuck Waffle House. Waffle House suck my dick through the back. I'm done with y'all. I mean, I've been done with y'all. I'm just saying. But we should not even be looking at that place, right? Like, Waffle House, literally 50% of Waffle House money come from us. Like, we shouldn't even fuck with them no more. You know what I mean? Like word is born. If you coming out late night from a club and y'all want something to eat, yo, my man, bring the ingredients to my house. As long as you bring some wine, I'll make you some pan. My pancakes are righteous, brother. My omelets are righteous, brother. Come on down. Like, I'm for real, man. Like, let's fuck Waffle House, B. That shit is nasty. I didn't watch the Donald Glover video. Well, let me rephrase that. I watched the first like 10 seconds and then I couldn't watch anymore. And yeah, I know. Here's a guy that watches superhero movies, right? I watch kung fu movies. But the thing about violence is that I'm going to go watch a kung fu movie. I know I'm going to watch a kung fu movie, right? You know what I mean? Like, I know I am. So my mind is kind of ready for it. Plus, the kind of violence in there is not the violence that we kind of see in This Is America, right? Like, actually, the violence in the kung fu movies are not ones that we see in America, period, right? So I think I've seen enough videos of black men being shot. I think I've seen enough videos of black people being murdered. I've seen people get shot. I've seen people get murdered. So I didn't expect it from a music video. I'm not a fan of Donald Glover. So I guess that's probably why I wasn't really trying to see it. But, you know, people on the internet, they want you to see everything, right? So I saw the first 10 seconds. I'm like, nah, I can't do this. I'm not going to do a think piece on it. I'm not, I do, black bodies are disposable, right? That's what he's trying to say. But who's his audience is my question, right? Because black people know that. We know that black bodies are disposable, right? That being said, I don't want to get into this idea of, who should be talking about it and who should not, just because their significant other is white. I don't do that shit. You're attracted to who you're attracted to. Has he said some anti-black stuff in the past? Yeah, but I leave it up to the fan to make the decision of whether they want to still fuck with that person or not. I think he's overrated. I think he's aight. And that's just my opinion. If you like him, that's cool. But I don't think we should regulate on who should talk about black suffering and who shouldn't. In regards to who their significant other is, you know what I mean? Like, just because they're married to somebody white don't mean they ain't down for the cause. I don't believe that shit. I don't fuck with that. When I was young, I did, but as I got older and I learned more about love and relationships, I learned that you can't help who you're attracted to. That being said, that doesn't mean that if somebody asks you why you're with that person, you should give fucked up answers, right? Word. We kind of covered this before because I know this. Remember that dude? I mean, just actually not remember that dude, but that Aaron Sterling dude. That did I get it right? It's not Aaron Sterling. Y'all know who I mean. The guy that was caught on video. He's a lawyer in New York. I don't know how you could be a lawyer in New York and be racist though, but I guess, right? And he said a bunch of things about, immigrants, particularly those that speak Spanish. And then what happened was the video went viral. People found out where he lived at. Where he worked at, excuse me. And they pretty much trying to get him fired and trying to run off his clients and stuff like that. People are calling his law office and saying a bunch of wild stuff. And which, I'm the type of person that you shouldn't harass people on the phone. I just kind of feel that way. I kind of feel like I'm a G. So I'm not going to harass you on the phone. I'm going to come see you. But that's just how I get down, right? Anyway, a lot of people online saying, we shouldn't mess with his livelihood. We shouldn't be harassing him, but you got to watch the video, man. Like, he says some really foul stuff. And my thing, this goes back to, remember when we was punching Nazis in the face? Remember when that happened and people was like, oh, you shouldn't be that way, and it's kind of like, let me just say this, man. And I'm not a violent person, right? I'm not really a violent dude. I try to negotiate before I do anything. But my thing has always been like, why do we got to be nice to people who are racist, right? Why do I have to be nice? Why do we have to be nice to people that their ideas and beliefs are pretty much kill all y'all motherfuckers? You feel me? Racists and Nazis, or fascists, they believe in a type of zero-sum game where a lot of people die. Like, they would prefer that, people of color, particularly black and brown folk, should be dead or should be subservient to them. So shouldn't we kind of say that kind of ideology has to be stomped any which way? You feel me? Like, does that ideology deserve to be discussed or debated? You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that for a second, right? And I remember Ta-Nehisi Coates talked about this. He talked about how back in the days, during slavery times, there were people that was like, we should debate why there should be slavery, right? Like, there are people that actually were allowed to debate that. When, we look back now, we're like, yo, that's crazy. But there were people that were allowed to do that. And when you look at World War II, and I always tell people you should always look at how Hitler rose to power, and how the rest of the world appeased him. Like, this is what happens when you say, you know what? We kind of value your opinion. You can do and say what you want, kind of, as long as you don't step on my toes. And it's kind of like, no. And I can see why white folks say shit like that, right? Because really, quite honestly, that form of ideology doesn't really affect them directly or indirectly, right? So they can afford to say stuff like, oh, you shouldn't be harassing this guy or getting rid of his livelihood. And that's why they should shut the fuck up when it comes to these kind of things, right? That's why they shouldn't say stuff like that, because they're not the ones that are affected by this. We are. Word. 25 years ago, when actually a day, 25 years ago in a day, on May 18, 1993, Guru of Gangstar dropped the Jazzmatazz Volume 1. It was released on Chrysalis Records. And they combined, hip hop and jazz, which they were already doing They were already doing that joint. You know, Gangstar was doing it. You know, DJ Premier under production, and they had some really dope stuff. Like, you know, and yo, shout out to Goo, rest in peace. Like, when people talk about top 25 MCs, they never put his name up there, man. But he could rhyme, and his voice was just so dope. Like, his voice is probably sampled mad times, man. Damn, man, shit. Anyway, he had a joint called Lounging with Donald Byrd on the trumpet. That was probably like, I think that was the first single for that, if I'm not mistaken. Then he had a joint called Slicker Than Most with Gary Barnacle on sax, and that was to me. Then he had a joint with MC Solar from France, not the other motherfucker, but MC Solar. And yes, when I say motherfucker, I mean like bastard ass motherfucker when I say that. And it's called Les Bien Les Mal. And they had a video for that. They had a video for that, so that's really dope. He had a joint with Lonnie Liston Smith too called Down the Back Streets. I like that joint too. And No Time to Play. And that had Ronnie Jordan on the guitar. Big Shark was singing on that too. So, but yeah, man, like, man, that joint is dope, man. I'm gonna rock that joint for this week, man. But that's gonna be our review on that. If you're a young blood and you really want to get into hip hop, check that out, man. There's some really dope stuff. And he ended up doing like 2 more volumes, like, because it was such a hit, you know. And people were saying that he couldn't do it without Premier. He did. Word. I think when it comes to health, I spend a lot of time talking about fast food, man. And I think I did a segment on it on somebody else's podcast. Can't remember who it was. But, it was on Steph's podcast, I think, on Dope Science Show. I could be wrong. I know I keep shouting her out. But anyway, fast food is no good for you, man. You might as well, with fast food, you might as well take like a brick and just put it in your stomach instead of just like, like eating, because it's really what it is. It doesn't give you any nutrients. A lot of carbs, way more carbs than you need. And as you get older, that stuff goes right to your midsection. When you were a young kid and you out there doing your thing, thizzle, and acting a fool and got all that energy and you run around, you can't sit still, and food doesn't stick to you like it does as you get older when your metabolism slows down. But really, even when you're young, it goes straight to your midsection. So definitely stay away from it. I know it's easier said than done. I know that for a lot of us, we have to like, some of us don't have time to cook, especially at night. So I always recommend, I tell people that, particularly in the morning, right? Because in the morning, you got to have breakfast, right? Oatmeal is not hard. Steel cut oats are not hard to make, pretty fast. Egg sandwich is kind of easy to make. Those things are just real easy. Some cereal, granola, all that stuff only takes you a few minutes to make and consume. So you might as well do that. Lunch, you'd be surprised what you can pack for lunch. It's real easy to make and real easy to eat. And then for dinner, like your dinner, actually lunch is supposed to be a big meal, because lunch is the middle of the day. You made it through the morning. You gotta make it to the rest of the hump. You're over the hump. That's what I want to say. You're over the hump. You want to make it for the last leg of work. So you need that extra energy. So that's why your lunch should be big. It should be something big. So I recommend getting cookbooks. I recommend getting those that are healthy. There's a lot of them out there. I mean, you go to like Barnes and Nobles and you can find cookbooks for like $5 that has like 100 recipes. Like, you can get busy. Matter of fact, my man Supreme Understanding on his website, Supreme Design Publishing, he has a nice book. It's 1,000 international recipes for eating healthy. Highly recommend that you copy from him. It's not that much, and I don't know if he has it on digital yet. He should. I should check up on that, right? But I put the links. I put the links right there under the podcast, or the show links and everything. That's what I want to say, right? The show links. So definitely do that. But stay away from fast food, man. I know. And really, really late at night, you're not really supposed to be eating. So for those of you that partake in the medicinal herbs, or you guys party kind of hard, you might want to like avoid it. Stay hydrated, actually. That's what I recommend people to do, because a lot of times you're not really hungry, you're just dehydrated. So, make sure you're drinking a lot of water, but stay away from fast food, man. That stuff ain't no joke. No good for you, man. It's not made to to really take care of you. I'm not, there's remember that fast food documentary with my man, what's his name, Morgan Spurlock? I can remember his name, and I can't remember the Super Size Me. Yeah, Super Size Me. And just you watch that, you probably get off of McDonald's. Word is born.
This is a man's world, but it would be nothing without. This is a man's world.
Part 3, QBC, sip lime Bacardi, heavy on the list, you blink my ice ring, John brain, yeah that's small, part 3, QBC, sip lime Bacardi.
So somebody asked me, they actually sent me a DM. They were wanting to know, like, so you meet a young woman and you want to know when is a good time to ask her out on a date. I think immediately. That's just me though. I don't know. That's just how I got down back in the day. But then again, I'm like that. Period. Like if somebody says, "Hey, we need to meet up to talk about doing something together, like business wise or community activism wise," I'll be like, "Yo, man, let's meet on this date." Like soon as they say that, or if I need to meet with them, I'll say, I need to meet with you, Saturday at 3:00. I've always been that type of person. Let's knock this out, because I'm really not somebody who just runs his mouth. Actually I am, because I got a podcast, but yeah, just go ahead and do it. Like just when you feel it. I think I'm going to say within 48 hours from when you meet that person, because sometimes you do want to talk to them, see where their head is at, and then you could go ahead and ask them out, so that's what I think. That's just me. And I'm not saying that if you meet this young woman on Saturday, set up a date for Monday. I didn't mean that. I mean like Monday or Tuesday, you should be talking about a date for the following, maybe Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, however you get down. Some people go out on Wednesday nights. I go out on Wednesday nights too. I'm tripping. But, some people go out on dates on Wednesday nights. If that's how you want to do it, then go ahead. I say, shoot your shot as soon as possible, man. I hope that helps out. For real, for real. Definitely want to give a shout out to my homie Sekou, man. Grandpa Crunk, who continues to put me on, man. He's been putting me on since day one. He's been putting me on. I used to DJ for that brother a while back. I used to MC for him as well. So, shout out to my man for that. And then definitely got to give a shout out to New R. Kelly. Please hashtag New R. Kelly, because they doing their thing, man. I think, man, this is amazing, man. Like, finally getting some justice on that one, right? And I want to give a shout out to my audience, because I got a dope audience. Like when I check the numbers, I'm getting about 1,200, sometimes 1,300 listens on all platforms. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of people listening to it. So whoever you are that's listening to it, some of you have retweeted me. There's just so many of y'all to shout out. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start writing your names down, your handles down and stuff, and giving y'all shout outs, because it means a lot to me, man. It really, really means a lot to me. The thing about the internet is that it's really all timing, man. It's really all when you come out, not really your content. I mean, you got to give out dope content, but there's a lot of people who don't have dope content and they have a big audience, and they, it's all about timing, man. Really, for real, for real. You just got to figure out when's the dope time to come out. So thank y'all, man. I love y'all and I appreciate y'all. Word. And there you have it, party people. Episode 13, season 2, right? So, wow. So we actually have 34 episodes. Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. If you want to continue the conversation, go on to Twitter and hashtag where my Killa tape at. I'm not on Facebook, but if you want to promote it on Facebook, knock yourself out. Just again, hashtag where my Killa tape at. Killa spelled Killa. You can hit me on the Twitters at Omi's Podcast, OMIS Podcast. Or you can just hit me where I'm usually at. I'm always on Twitter at Dan Trezomi, DANTRESOMI. If you just Google Dan Trezomi, you're gonna see me everywhere. So definitely come through. I love y'all. I know I've been saying this, but the Merc is coming. And I am on Stitcher, I am on SoundCloud, I am on Google Play. So definitely check me out. And I'm on Apple Podcasts. So, let your folks know, man, that I'm on here, man. Word is born. Peace.
Why